Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2020 My Team Career Mode, episode number 74 today for the Austrian Grand Prix in Season 4. If you guys did miss the previous one, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, a rather chaotic one at the Canadian Grand Prix that started with a major disaster. We fought as hard as we could, but unfortunately our luck finally ran out at Montreal, and we were unable to score any points. Hopefully, we're going to overturn that here at Austria, but it may be another difficult Grand Prix. We've got to be honest with ourselves. The last 3 Grand Prix before Canada, we did ride a lot of luck. Like, the car really shouldn't have been technically be getting positions that we've been getting, and maybe we need to face a bit of a new reality check here off the back of Canada. But let's see. Obviously, Austria is going to be an interesting one. It's a very short circuit, power circuit, so could benefit us. Of course, we've still got plenty of power in the back of this car, but obviously you still need a little bit of a turn in. And on that note, we are going to go ahead and upgrade the car for the first time in a few episodes. We finally got enough resource points to purchase 2 major downforce upgrades on the front and the rear of the car. I had a little thought of doing the ultimate drag reduction update, but mulling it over a little bit, although yes, we do need to also reduce the drag of this car, I'd rather have pure downforce, especially ahead of Grand Prix like we've got coming up in the British one, where you do need that downforce. It's a very high-speed circuit. Silverstone's already a difficult circuit as it is on this year's game, with the AI being so much better than they have been in previous games, so I need to try and strap on as much downforce as we can ahead of what I want to be a really good home Grand Prix. So we've gone with those 2 upgrades to balance it out, obviously front to rear, and I think probably the next upgrade we'll look to do will be that ultimate drag reduction update. I think that'll be a massive leap forward for us as a team. But we are now in a very good position ahead of this race weekend to afford Pierre Gassie's contract next episode. Obviously, there's quite a big gap from Canada to Austria in the calendar, because obviously with the full calendar, we would have had France in between these 2 races. So having that extra time and that extra week of income means we can already afford Gassie's contract. So from next episode, we'll re-sign him, and then now we can finally look into maybe opening back up some of the other facilities in our HQs. Not that we kind of need it, to be honest, to be fair. If you look at the season and the upgrades we've been making, they've all been on the aero side. We haven't had any need to actually have those HQs open, but obviously it will be nice to have those open to further improve the R&D, because of course every HQ facility has its own resource point generation, so we'll be able to actually level that up even faster, and therefore get actually more air upgrades, if you think about it. So it all kind of feeds into each other. But yeah, really positive to finally get that through, because there were quite a few episodes, I'm not going to lie, where I really thought we actually couldn't re-sign Gasly, and we're going to have to go for, I think the game has a mechanic for like a reserve driver it gives you, which is like the worst rated driver in the entire game, which wouldn't have been ideal. Obviously, as a team, we're trying to maintain our position in the championship, which is, just above Renault. I think Renault look good, so we're going to be in a bit of a fight with them for the next few episodes to maybe try and hold on to the position we have in the championship ahead of them, and then also Mercedes, who are still having a woeful, dismal season. Obviously, Hamilton, again, DNF last episode. I wonder if he'll do it again. It would be really quite something. I mean, it would just be nonsensical if he did, but no, in the game, it's entirely possible. But we go on through, and then towards the Austrian Grand Prix, those 2 upgrades do come in. They don't fail on the car, so that's a really positive step forward, because that will jump us quite a fair bit in the aero chart. Where we go into the race weekend, then it's all sunny at the moment here in Austria, but there is some forecast for some rain around the weekend. A little bit overcast, I think, later on Saturday, but then some actual rain maybe forecast for the race at the end of Sunday. So that's going to be quite tricky to navigate, and we'll maybe spice things up towards the end. But obviously, that could be at the detriment to us, because obviously we don't have great aero. So actually, all the teams with higher aero might benefit with some rain, obviously, in those kind of conditions. But we'll kind of cross that bridge once we get to it. But right now, we're out on track trying to get through into the second part of qualifying here. Hopefully, shouldn't be an issue. You would say the car's come a long way now, so maybe that Q1 hurdle shouldn't really be a hurdle anymore, but you really never know. I still haven't really got on top of this car yet. Even though it's been improving, I'm still finding a lack of pace over 1 lap compared to Pierre Gasly in general, and the other kind of competitors around us, Ferrari now that have joined us down here in this kind of midfield fight. But thankfully here at Austria, we do get through, but it wasn't that convincing. We are down there in P15. Gasly's only P14, so that may well be where the car is. We're only 2/10 off Gasly there, so I really hope that's not where the car is, and we just didn't have a great Q1 as a team. Leclerc has done a madness to be up in P8 there, with Giovinazzi down in P16, so a very similar dynamic to Leclerc and Vettel in real life there, with Gio unable to extract the time from a struggling Ferrari car. But yeah, Q2 now. It's overcast, but I really hope the car picks up some pace there, because 2 major upgrades, 2 major aero upgrades, and a track like this, I really thought that would have been a really positive step forward. You know, Gasly qualified P11, was it, at Montreal last time out, so that's quite bemusing, and so that's going to be a bit of an annoyance, if we don't move forward in this race, having done those upgrades. But we're now through in on that first flying lap. Bit of a scruffy lap that was, as we went wide 2 times at the very end of the lap, and across the line, it's not an amazing lap time there. We're down in P16 at the moment. Gasly, though, is only P13 as we go through to the end of this session. We've got one last set of soft tyres to use, so this is going to be it, basically. But very overcast. I don't know if that maybe played into it. Maybe the track got a little bit colder, potentially. The sun is going to come out a little bit at the end of this session when we go out for the second fly, so maybe that alone will naturally enable us to go a little bit quicker. And into that brake zone, into Sector 2, we went just a little bit quicker on the exit and gained about 1.5 tenths alone on the exit of that corner, so that's pretty positive, but still some time to find. And at the moment, as it stands, Gasly P13, Leclerc P15, Giovinazzi was there with us, but he's just popped in a lap time to go at least higher than P12 there, so now it's kind of reverse. Leclerc's the one on the back foot in the Ferrari car, and we've still got it all to do. We haven't really gained too much time in Sector 2 there, just about stabilised that time we gained in Sector 1 to about 1.4, 1.5 through the last corner. A little bit wide on the exit, 2 tenths gained across the line, 2.2 tenths at the end of it. What is it going to be? It's P16. It's woeful. It's baffling. I really, honestly, on a Saturday in this season of career mode, I feel like Sebastian Vettel in real life. I don't know what I need to do to get the time out of this car over 1 lap. I'm so bemused. The only difference is to real life with Vettel is I'm able to actually move forward in the race quite a fair bit, when it comes to Sunday, but very, very worrying times here, because even Gasly, he's down in P14, albeit obviously Austria, it's a very short lap. You can see the time gaps are tiny from P4 all the way down to P12. It's only like 1 or 2 tenths there, so it's very, very close, but it's still a little bit shocking to see us down in P14 and 16, having made 2 major upgrades on front and rear downforce. Obviously, it's a very different circuit calendar, but still, you got to be wanting a little bit more from that. And look at Giovinazzi. He's got up into the top 10. Let's just look at that. Leclerc got P8 in Q1. I thought Giovinazzi's had a stinker, and then he's just gone and showed that's the complete opposite here, and he's the one that's made it through to the top 10 in that dog of a Ferrari now with the weaker engine, and Leclerc's down here in P15. I don't know what this qualifying is. It's actually as crazy as it was at Baku in a way. Yeah, going to be really interesting to see how Q3 shakes out then as we go through the grid. And now I don't really know what to expect from this race. I don't know whether we're going to have a strong one or another poor one like we had at Canada. This might be another reality check for us, unless the rain or something can spice it up. I don't know. Let's go to the grid. We'll give it our all, but that's a very, very disappointing Saturday, I would say.
This is it then, race day in Spielberg for this year's Austrian Grand Prix. The grandstands were a sea of red in 2019 thanks to the commemorative hats in honour of the late great Niki Lauda, who took home victory, of course, back in 1984. And it's a sellout crowd once again here today. It's one of the shortest laps on the calendar today then, with 7 rights and just 3 lefts, making up the 10 corners of this high-speed circuit. Turn 2 is barely a corner at all. They'll be flat out through there, a left-hand kink into the uphill braking zone of Turn 3. Turns 1, 3 and 4 are all potential opportunities to overtake. Anthony Davidson is here once again for today's Grand Prix. Now then, let's take a look at Nick de Vries. Looks like they've got a tough race in store today, as grid penalties from changing power unit components has forced them further down the field.
But on the bright side, at least those fresh components can help them maintain the power they need to come through the pack. I expect to see them take a more aggressive approach today to make up for the compromised start.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. It's Carlos Sainz in pole position, edging out Lando Norris, who'll start from P2. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Ricciardo, Ocon, Alexander Albon, and Perez, Bottas, Kvyat, Giovinazzi, and Nobuharu Matsushita. Stroll, Verstappen, they've taken a grid penalty. Lewis Hamilton, and Gasly, Leclerc, the owner-driver, George Russell, and Nicholas Latifi, Magnussen, Aitken, Schumacher, and Nick de Vries. Which of these talented drivers will come out on top today?
Well, after another disappointing race last time for Red Bull, looks like they've turned their tides a little bit at their kind of home GP, of course. Sainz on pole, but AlphaTauri still look quick. Verstappen is down in P12, and for the second time in 3 races, he is knocked out of the front row with an engine penalty. He qualified P2, I'm pretty sure, because he got a 10-place penalty there on the grid sequence. So it seems like maybe the pattern is AlphaTauri look quick, especially in the hands of Verstappen, but they're unreliable, whereas Red Bull just are just not, you know, doing the job, basically. But maybe this is finally the time for Sainz. Obviously, Ricciardo does have 1 win, at least, from Bahrain, but Sainz is yet to win. He's got the best shot at it now from pole, but Lando Norris, the championship leader going to this one, remember, is in 2nd place now, so he's also equally got a good shout. But yeah, there's a very topsy-turvy top 10 shootout. Albon doing a stonking job in P5 there in the Racing Point, to say that the fact we are fighting Racing Point at Baku just a few races ago. And then Giovinazzi, in the end, did finish down in P9, but he still beat one of the Renaults, which I find quite impressive. And then, of course, that disparity between Bottas and Hamilton is still there, with Bottas way up in P7. Like I said earlier, in terms of our chances with Gasly as well, I'm not too sure. It's going to be a one-stop from the soft tire to mediums. There is some rain to come later on, so it could be all to play for, or it could be quite a difficult afternoon. Let's find out as we go to 5 red lights here for the Austrian Grand Prix. Just about halfway through this season now. Fire lights are out, and we're underway, and it's again a good start initially compared to Charles Leclerc, but into turn 1 we might get boxed in again with Gasly awkwardly parked there. We're trying to make a move to the left hand side, but Leclerc gets across us. So again, out the exit of turn 1, we find ourselves in the same position we actually qualified in. Haven't made the same gains we've made in the past at that opening turn, but can we make a dive to the inside? No, the outside instead. Gasly instead is the one on the inside, and he's 3 abreast with the AlphaTauri of Verstappen and also the Racing Point car. Somehow we found the space to go around the outside of Leclerc, but he was like a massive mobile chicane into the brake zone there. But we found a way around up into P15 now, but it's still not really an electric start compared to what we've done previously, but at least it's moving forwards rather than staying put or going backwards in this one. But it was a good getaway for the pole sitter, Carlos Sainz, in the Red Bull in first place. Even better one for his teammate Ricciardo, who's up in P2, so it's a 1-2 for the Red Bull team at the Red Bull ring. But Lando Norris, the championship leader, is coming thick and fast. It's lap number 3, DRS is activated, that's why, and Lando Norris is up into P2, so it's a good overtake for him. And meanwhile, behind, it's maybe some action between Verstappen, the Racing Point, and Gasly, as we're now going to go down the inside. It's a lovely switch from left to right, and it's a great overtake on Verstappen. We're now neck and neck with Gasly, but we've embarrassed the AlphaTauri. The car that just won the last Grand Prix has just been overtaken by both myself and Gasly. Brilliant stuff there. We've got the jump on our old teammate. We're now battling our current teammate into Sector 2, but he's got the jump on us, and we've got a lot of understeer on the front end of that car through the next left-hander. And Verstappen is back down the inside now. He's got it. That darting front end, the AlphaTauri's got the jump on us, but we come back through on the right-hander, losing all our DRS pretty much. We've got a little bit left for the end of the lap, but we're using that to sail past him and get back up into P14. But for how long, realistically, can we keep behind last race winner? Because on paper, he's got the pace, really. I don't know why he actually was a little bit slow there, tucked up behind Lance Stroll, but because of that, we were able to get the jump on him with Gasly. But really, how long can we do this for? Because you can see there, the rear end twitch, and Verstappen gets past us. We've got DRS, though, because we're within 1 second of Gasly, so that helps us out, and we're still going to try and battle Verstappen if we can, going on the outside there, jockeying for position on the exit. And actually, at the end of it, it's actually quite an easy acceleration off that corner, and we're actually easily able to maintain that P14. So baffling times right now for Verstappen, a little bit slow in the AlphaTauri. Meanwhile, his teammate Sergio Perez, who I think qualified P5 ahead of Albon, finds himself behind Albon now. He's fighting the Thai Brit, and actually a bit of contact made there between the Mexican and him. And now you've got a big train forming. Look at that, Giovinazzi behind Bottas as well, as well as the Renault car of I think a Fiat, that is, as Giovinazzi makes a big old dive down the inside there. So the Italian in the Ferrari trying to make the most of the brake zones, where of course he can try and use the decent car that Ferrari have in the corners at least to try and make some moves and keep within the top 10. He did a fantastic job must say, in qualifying to even be there. But I don't know how much further he can move forward. Meanwhile, still, again, the next lap, and Perez and Albon are still going at it then, and Perez is just unable to do it. Looks like the AlphaTauri is just not as good under the brakes as some of these guys, but in a straight line, you can see clearly that car has the pace. And look at the oh my! What a dive bomb from the Renault! Danica Fiat! We've seen that before. Remember Catalonia when he made that massive dive in Sector 3? The Renault guys love a good dive bomb, it would seem, in this season of career mode, as he tries to get 2 cars for 1. Can't quite do it, but those guys battling is making a massive train for us here as we move on to lap number 6. And myself, Gasly, and Stroll have joined that train, so you've got like an 8-car train here forming. We've got yellow flags up ahead, and there's a bit of smoke there for a car, and it's Esteban Ocon. We haven't seen too much of him in this entire Grand Prix. He was just kind of doing his own thing quietly in P4, but he's now out of this Austrian Grand Prix, so Lando Norris will fly the flag solo for McLaren. Meanwhile, we're tucked up in a battle between Gasly and Stroll with 3 abreast. Gasly on the inside, we're in the middle. We're going to try and just feed our car through, and we made it work, and both of us have overtaken the Racing Point car. We're now trying our best to close up to Gasly, not using too much ERS though on this straight, because I like to try and save some ERS for in Sector 3 when we run down to the hill, because I lose a lot more time to the AI in that kind of portion, and this particular exit of the circuit. You can see that's why I'm deploying ERS now. But with that, as I'm battling Gasly, Verstappen with the big send, and he's made some contact with us and pushed us wide. Verstappen just got the elbows out well and truly and pushed us off nearly off the circuit, and he's up into P12 now. It's all kicking off, and look at the train forming now behind us as well. You've got Stroll, Leclerc, the Alfa Romeo. It has really been a very, very hectic opening 8 laps of the Austrian Grand Prix. Long may it continue, because we're only 3 places off the points here, so it's looking very good for us. And into turn 1, Gasly holds up Verstappen quite a treat into the apex, and we got a good run maybe on the Dutchman, but he equally is going to try and make a move on Gasly. We're going to switch from left to right and go the other side of Gasly, and both of us have overtaken Pierre Gasly, and we make a big old lunge and really force out Verstappen, because I was very peeved off at the move he made, that little bit of contact he made in Sector 2 to get past us. So we kind of returned the favour by going deep on purpose to kind of push him out wide, and that invites Gasly to re-overtake him. Those two now are on the exit, and it looks like Gasly might just get that, but Verstappen seems to love this left-hander. He does it again on the inside. I don't know what it is with him and the AlphaTauri car on that left-hander, but he just loves to go so much later than everyone. Is able to go so much later for some reason. And now on lap number 9, speaking about going later, he tried to go later than us on the brakes into that right-hander. We're able to defend to the inside, but as I said previously, how long can we do this for? Because really, he should be getting past us eventually, but for some reason, he's just not got quite the overall pace to push away. Maybe it's going to happen now. Lap number 10, he's got us into turn 1 with DRS open, but oh, it's a big lockup, and we're back down the inside. Verstappen just keeps making mistakes here. He's under pressure in the traffic, and we just get back past him. Easy as that. Meanwhile, though, away from that chaos, Sainz still leads the way from Norris. Ricciardo keeping him very honest. In 4th place, very surprisingly, is Valtteri Bottas at the moment. Then you've got Perez, Fiat, who made a great dive bomb earlier. Then you got Albon, who was looking pretty decent, but now he's kind of holding up Giovinazzi and that train involving Lewis Hamilton and Matsushita. And then there's a bit of a gap to ourselves. Stroll, Verstappen behind me, but we're closing up to Matsushita. You can see Hamilton himself is a little bit slow and is holding up the Japanese driver in the Renault. We've closed right up to him as we enter the pit lane for an earlier stop maybe than we're looking to do, because I feel like the tyres are kind of crying out a little bit at the soft compound. I was surprised, to be fair, because it looked like an easy 1 stop, but the tyres were kind of a little bit worse for wear on the rear end, and also even on the front as well. Lack of response, and under the pit stop. Oh, lads, come on. No. Okay, we've been jumped by Verstappen. He came in with us, and the guys just haven't done a great job. It's not a very quick pit stop, and we've been jumped by Verstappen. So that just may be it now. That may be a slam dunk overtake now, because Verstappen has now got that. He's got the track position, so he might be able to push away. The only difference is, though, it looks like the guys ahead of us, all 3 of them, are on hard tyres. For some reason, like I said, there may be some disparity in tyre wear, and we're on the medium compounded tyre. And I went on the mediums, 1, because I know we have the tyre wear for it, but also, there is that threat of rain coming, so why would you go on hards if you know you're going to come off onto intermediate? So that may be the only blessing here. We may be able to re-overtake Verstappen and more, because we're on the faster compounded tyre. And you can clearly see from the top right, we're looking quick in the last last sector there. Purple last sector. We've got DRS on Verstappen. We close right back up to him. And we're building that momentum as we climb the hill. Slowly but surely, we're going to go for the big lunge to the inside. Very, very close to Verstappen's rear right tyre. I must say, a few pixels left. And I maybe would have smashed my front wing on the rear tyre of the Dutchman. So cutting it fine there for the overtake. We're up into P15, so this is good. Let's carry on the momentum. I'm feeling feisty here on the mediums. All these guys have pit onto hard tyres for some reason, so let's go and have them. This is the chance. This is where we could do the business to get points today in this race, because we're still not anywhere near them as it stands. So we go for the move on Machasita on the outside. Hamilton is a bit of a slow chicane there in the middle, and somehow, I don't know how we've just done that. Oh, lads, we've finessed it big time. I don't know how we've just managed that. We've just overtaken 2 cars for 1 when I didn't even think we were going to do that. I thought Hamilton was too far away from us, but he was so slow in the apex of that corner. We had to take evasive action on the left-hand side, went the long way round and got 2 cars for 1. Brilliant stuff. Lap 18, and it's very overcast, and the rain is coming. Look at the chassis, look at the halo. The droplets of rain are streaking down towards us, and the track's going to get a little bit slippery here, and Albon is struggling in these conditions. Surprised to see an AI car struggle in these changeable conditions. They're usually so alien, like with precision, with the kind of throttle and whatnot, but here we are then, going for a move on the outside for P7, you know, in this race. Somehow, in a flash, we've just bolted up the order, and now we're trying to go to the inside, trying our best with a big dive lock up to not smash into Albon, and in doing so we unfortunately have to give up the position, because that was either going to end 2 ways. Either I break a bit my front wing by going straight into Albon there, or I was going to get spun with that very awkward side pod contact. And you know what, the rain's come down so quickly here around Austria that it's actually time to come in, so really annoying that we aren't able to actually overtake Albon just before the pit stops. We're literally pushing him through the pit entry there. But yeah, it's a very dramatic change of weather here at the Red Bull Ring. So we're onto a set of intermediates now, lap 19. So it's actually a lot earlier than I thought it was going to come. So we've got a long way to go still in this Grand Prix on intermediates. And so this is where it could either be a great time or a bad time for us. But at the moment, it's a fantastic time, because our pit crew have just made up from the earlier blemish of being overtaken and jumped by Verstappen in the first pit stop, because we've just jumped Albon in this second round of pit stops. Fantastic stuff there from our pit crew. But as I said, now is the unknown. How is this car going to drive in full intermediate conditions around this track? Right now we're in some decent points, but is it going to be the case by the end of this one? We're just going to have to see. One man though that does seem like he wants to get a move on is Max Verstappen, a little bit further down the order now. 3 cars between us two, but he's looking to make a move. He went left, he went right, he's gone left again, and instead it's the Renault again with the dive. This time it's Machasita now, so both Renaults have got that confidence on the brakes, it would seem there. Again, tried to go for the double overtake, just made one instead of the Racing Point car, but he's made it stick, and instead he's the one making moves instead of Verstappen. I thought for sure Verstappen was going to make a move on him on the left-hand side. Instead, he waits for the next lap. You can see from the rear-end view of the Renault into turn 1 very nicely. Verstappen on the outside. They jockey for position on the exit, but Verstappen has the overwhelming acceleration. Can Gasly maybe make a move on that Racing Point car now behind? Remains to be seen, don't think so, but Verstappen in a prime position now to go ahead and chase after Machasita and Hamilton, but those two are fighting each other as well, so it might be a 3-way fight. Verstappen tries to carve his way around on the outside. Hamilton defensive, and Verstappen the long way round. Look at him, he goes and he tries to dab the throttle pedal to try and limp his way around the outside. He does so on the Renault, and he slots in between those two, so Verstappen making moves every single lap, and on to the next one. There's a bit of a dry line forming now as the rain stopped falling, but it's still very damp out there. Verstappen on the outside again into this same right-hander. He loves that corner, it seems like now, from earlier on as well in Sector 2 as well. Those 2 corners really quite key for him, and he's up, and now he's right behind us, and surprise, surprise, same part of the circuit. Even though we're deploying ERS on the exit, rich mix, he's got that straight line speed. The AlphaTauri is very, very drag efficient, it would seem, and just, is able to just waltz past people in a straight line, especially now under acceleration. There you can see I'm just unable to get the power down. We are struggling, I can't lie. I'm pretty much setting my sights on lap 36 already. already in terms of limping home to finish this, basically, because the car doesn't have any pace, and at the moment it's going to be basically a trolley train of holding up Hamilton and Matsushita and the rest of them. Basically, you can see the minimap, and already, you know, 2 corners, and Verstappen is already 6/10 ahead of us, so it's going to be no shocker to see him go away and kind of solidify that P7, but such a far cry from a race lead that he got last time out. Meanwhile, in the actual race lead is Sainz then, still leads this way and is looking very good to go out and win this Grand Prix, his first Grand Prix win of the entire season. Norris in second, Ricciardo third, then Sergio Perez ahead of Valtteri Bottas, who has been overtaken finally by the Mexican, but is still doing a fantastic job to say how poor that Mercedes car has been in general this season. To be way up there in what is P5, I think that is great, with Kvyat in P6, Verstappen P7. We still find ourselves in P8, but we're now on the last lap of the Grand Prix, so 10 laps have gone by, nothing's really happened, I can't lie. It's just been a very kind of, you know, a subdued last stint here, trying to hold on to this position. The tyre wear has been pretty damn high, and so lockups have been coming left, right and centre, and been having to go very easy into all these brake zones. You can see the lack of turning there, under braking on that right-hander, and behind me, Matsushita and Hamilton been swapping positions left, right and centre. But as I said, not much hope for us to go any further. But to be honest, P8 is still a massive result for us, I feel, from where we qualified and where we were. It was a very hectic race, and we've come through to survive the end of it for P8. It's obviously still not where we want to be, far from it, but, you know, with this situation, I still think P8 is a huge result, especially because we didn't really get massively lucky in this race in particular, really, I would say. So, yeah, still happy with that. Obviously beat my teammate, beat a few of our rivals, and try and keep pace a little bit with Renault in the championship.
Smiling faces on the pit wall after a superb win here in Spielberg, and rightly so, a brilliant effort from the whole team. Talk to me, Ant. What was it that set them apart from the competition today?
Rain always has the potential to liven up a race and mix up the order, and they've taken full advantage of that to claim the victory today. It's always a bit of a lottery when the conditions are like this, but they've managed to stay on circuit and have come out on top.
The drivers are en route to the podium as we speak. What a fantastic win for the Red Bull team. They performed exceptionally today, keeping us firmly on the edge of our seats throughout the entirety of the race. Congratulations to everyone at the team.
But there we have it. Carlos Sainz has finally broken his duck in this season, and he has won his first race of the year. Norris, though, the championship leader, ever consistent in P2 there, and he will maintain that lead the championship. Ricciardo in third, so it's a stronger race for Red Bull finally, with a double podium there, but still a little bit to be desired, with the 1-2 still lacking from those two. Perez in a good P4 ahead of Bottas, like I said. For us, P8 ahead of Matsushita, Hamilton. Gasly, I felt he performed a little bit poor today. I was a little bit disappointed in him. I felt like he could have gone and overtaken the 2 racing points at least, and could have fought Hamilton for P10, so a little bit upset with him in this regard, but it's obviously one race, can't have every single one being super consistent and decent. But like I said, Lando Norris, really consistent, and he's actually got a really healthy lead in the championship here, especially because Giovinazzi's still in second place in that flailing Ferrari car. Sainz up into third now, so this is maybe the start of the charge by the Spaniard and the Red Bull team for both championships, because look at this then. In the constructors, Red Bull overtake McLaren with that double podium, but the top 3 teams are covered by only 2 championship points, you know, right now, as we get through to the halfway point in the season. So that's fantastic to see. Obviously, I think Ferrari will fall down the order to at least P3, but as we go on through the rest of the season, you never know. If Ferrari upgrade enough, they could try and keep pace somewhat, at least in P3 then, and not slip any further behind the likes of AlphaTauri, who are obviously steadily improving over the course of the last few races. But for us, we're level on points now with Renault, so we're just about keeping on to P5 there. But I think next race, unless we have a surprisingly good one at what is always very difficult Grand Prix at Silverstone, Renault probably will overtake us, but that's the goal. I think our goal for the rest of the season is to try and fight Renault in the championship, basically our engine supply, ironically, and have that battle. I finally said this last season. I said Renault were improving so much. What happens if they get into a title fight with us? Well, it's not a title fight, long from it, but it's a straight fight with our engine manufacturer for P5 and 6 in the championship. And maybe even Mercedes could join us if they want to pull their socks up and stop DNFing for one side of the garage and consistently getting those results that Bottas got today. But overall, I would say, like I said, I think a strong result. considering where the car really is. So, guys, if you did enjoy what was a very, very hectic Grand Prix, the first 7 laps were a bit of a madness. The action left, right, and centre. If you guys did enjoy it, hit that like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're on your around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I've been aarava. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.